Hey everyone, welcome to IELTS Juice. Let's start assessing this essay. The question says, some people advocate the death penalty for those who committed violent crimes. Oh my God. Others say that capital punishment is unacceptable in contemporary society. So in the society today, if the legal system sentences someone, a criminal, to capital punishment, it means they need to take his or her life. So let's see what the topic wants us to write about. Describe the advantages and disadvantages of the death penalty and give your opinion. So the IELTS task wants us to say the advantages and the disadvantages and then express our own opinion. So basically, we have three main ideas here to address, and then we need to also, for each main idea, give proper development and examples. One thing to note, the question says, describe the advantages, S in the plural format, and disadvantages, again, plural format. So we must write at least two advantages and two disadvantages. That is one part. Now, if you're going to take a side, your opinion matters here. You need to say whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages or vice versa. Another technique to do so is to look at it in two methods, either quantity or quality. So you have, let's assume there are two advantages and two disadvantages. You need to show, in your opinion, that your two advantages are more important, they're life-threatening, they're life-changing than the other two disadvantages. In this case, you increase the quality of two advantages and showing it to your audience that these two are important. So advantages outweigh disadvantages. In another scenario, you can work on quantity. You can, instead of writing two advantages, you can write three advantages versus two advantages. And by doing so, you can show your audience that, look, obviously, I chose and picked the important ones, and there are three important elements supporting advantages, and there are two elements only supporting disadvantages. So by the sheer number, you can see 3 is larger than 2 or greater than 2, so advantages are more. That's important because simply saying, yeah, but I believe advantages are more than disadvantages. Yes, that is addressing the task, but that doesn't help you get 7 or 8. That is just, you state your opinion. That's not enough. You need to show, and you can use one of the two techniques I told you. Either you use quality, so why these two are more important than the other two, or you just simply say, yeah, I have 3 versus 2, so the quantity, 3 is larger than 2, so advantages win. In my example, maybe you want to wish the disadvantages win. That's totally up to you, of course. All right. After this long introduction, let's carry on with the assessment. While it is believed by some people that death penalty is advisable for hardened criminals, I like this. Hardened criminals are criminals who commit crimes over and over and again. This has basically become their job. Others consider that the capital punishment, that is to take someone's life legally, should be banned. In my opinion, death penalty should be kept as a red line for those who are involved. They do not involve other people. They themselves are involved. So we need passive voice. in committing, correct spelling of committing, serious offenses, comma, but it is essential to carefully consider it before providing the final verdict. So, I mean, we know what final verdict is, verdict, judgment here, or ruling. So that's the final verdict. I like the introduction. I know the position of the writer. So we need to consider everything before giving that final verdict. And it's a red line. I understand the writer has an idea of his or her own. But that's very good. You see, this is not easy to do, but let's see how the essay will lead us, or leads us in this case. There is little room for doubt that any crime committed by anyone must be punished in order to prevent others from offending. Okay? By providing punishment, it will ensure that people, this is a little bit redundant. You could simply say providing punishment will ensure that everybody, anyway, will ensure that people would be more concerned before being involved, this is correct, in any dodgy circumstances. Dodgy is rather informal. We're writing a formal essay for IELTS. So I would use the word illegal acts instead of dodgy circumstances. I like the word circumstances, by the way. Or human rights law, or violation of human rights law in certain cases. Okay. Yeah, in certain cases. It doesn't happen all the time, but anyway. Therefore, people who offend serious law abuses, I have a hard time following this. People who are offended by law, or people who offend law. I don't know what the writer wanted to say. Oh, yeah, I really don't know what. I cannot make anything of it. Such as a murder. People who violate the society's legal terms, or the law in society, or they abuse their freedom and commit a murder. Something like this would be more clear, would be more straightforward. Inconsequentially should be punished. I don't know if the writer wanted to say consequently should be punished, or should be punished inconsequentially, meaning insignificantly, meaning again, like not with huge punishment. This inconsequentially, inconsequentially doesn't mean consequently, as a result, or therefore. It doesn't mean that. It means insignificantly, or not important. So I don't know why it is used here. Another confusion. Punished by receiving a capital punishment. Thus, it will help others understand their overall responsibilities and prevent them, especially first-year criminals. I like this approach, you know. I'm about to joke here. So we have like, to be a full-fledged criminal, you have to get a bachelor's degree. Like, there are 4 years, and these guys are in the first year. You know, they skip classes, they come late, they don't pay attention to the teacher. They're there just you know, to follow the opposite sex, have fun, watch movies, stay awake all the way until 2 a.m. So that's first year. But in the second year, third year, they're focused on their thesis statement, and they're going to find their criminal professor and produce their dissertation for their defense session, and they become, I don't know, they get a license and a hat to throw out in the air. Oh my God! So that's the criminal academy kind of mindset. If I were the writer here, I would write first time criminals from offending. Anyway, guys, I'm joking. That's totally just for the fun of it. On the other hand, there are some disadvantages of providing death penalty. I don't like this structure. That's not incorrect, but that's not natural, because it's not like a hotel. You provide like a ensuite services or champagne. You don't provide death penalties. Like you see a menu, there's death penalty, and you pick it up. There are some disadvantages to like having death penalty as a tool to enforce law in a community. That might sound more serious, and it's more natural in the real world than you just open a menu at a table and you have different penalties and there's a death penalty on top of it. And instead you go for the chef's delight or the chef's recommendation. Anyway, firstly, in some countries, specifically in low-income countries with high level of corruption, this type of punishment, comma comes here, this type of punishment might be used in personal purposes. What does it mean? As usual, one thing, guys, to note, everything that we're thinking is very clear in our heads. It's crystal clear. Everything we wanted to say in our heads is 100% clear. But when we bring it on paper, then there is some information lost. And when we send this to be read by a complete stranger, somebody we will never meet in our entire lives, probably, and that guy has a totally different mindset and is going to read, and they read as usual, they think, what usual? My usuals, my everyday problems are mine. I'm living in a community completely different from yours. How come you say it's as usual? You need to explain to me. So please consider that your reader, your audience, the IELTS marker or assessor, is not or does not live in your community and is not aware of your circumstances. So do not make such assumptions. These countries are presided over by a handful of corrupt people. You don't have to say corrupted. Corrupt is already fine. It's an adjective. You don't have to use the verb and then you add ed to make it as an adjective. People who have the ability to manipulate, good word, any activity to their own benefit and punish people in order to frighten them. I need an example here. There's a huge stretch here. It's overgeneralized. It is correct. It is on the point, but I need more examples. I at least one thing to tell me what exactly the writer intended to say. Secondly, there is a high probability to condemn an innocent person and commit a penalty. In such a case, capital punishment prohibition would help authorities and people to develop a clear understanding of criminals' intentions and find a real offender. I have no issue with the message, my issue is, again, another example. What innocent person? Uh, and there is a high probability in condemning, better to say, an innocent person and committing a penalty, or an innocent person who committed the penalty. Are we going to commit the penalty by giving them the death penalty, or this person was innocent yet committed the penalty? Confusing again. In conclusion, while capital punishment certainly helps people understand their responsibilities, there are some circumstances where this measure might lead to the state of turmoil within society. Number one issue here is that this is all one sentence, and it is framed to look like a paragraph. It's not a paragraph. It's just one sentence. So this is not ideal. At least one more sentence is needed here. Another thing is I don't see consistency here, because now here we're talking about society, while in some other cases we had some personal purposes. It was rather personal, rather individual, and I don't know why suddenly society matters here. So 276 words. Let's look at the assessment table. The majority of errors fall under the lexical resource and coherence and cohesion. One interesting note, you were with me, guys. You saw beautiful vocabulary, all related to criminal activities, criminal intent, then this judiciary system. There were words about the capital punishment, prohibition, rehabilitation, beautiful words, and the range was wide. Not only could you see words for a general topic, but in a specific about crime, there were not just one or two or three words. So in this case, we call it that the essay has a wide range of vocabulary. That's very good. But the sad part is that they are not used in a way that can convey the message clearly. You saw in 2 or 3 instances, I was baffled, I was confused what the message was, or what the messages were in 3 instances. I also had one issue with a connector, a discourse marker, inconsequentially. That was confusing, that was inaccurately used, so that's inaccurate. That gets a 5. And it doesn't matter what the other criteria tell us. For instance, the organization of the information was logical. We had the advantages, disadvantages, and also the opinion. It was arranged logically, but that doesn't count because you still have issues with connectors. Anyway, this was a beautiful, beautiful essay, specifically in case of vocabulary. But at the same time, it's a pretty good example how, if you're not sure what words to use or how to use them, it can lead to such a low score. It's not deserving. This essay deserves higher than 6. It could get to 7 if it weren't for these mistakes. Anyway, remember, like this essay, essays, reports, and letters are going to be your representatives. So make sure these representatives do their jobs well. And if you wish to read a better sample for the same topic, you can always check the description below. There is, you can find the feedback, you can find the exact essay there, and also you might want to check it yourself and find more errors. I couldn't definitely cover all errors in this 20-minute time. And follow it. There is also at the bottom, there is a very good sample, 7+ that could address the prompts that we had here much better. And that would be a good example for you to read and get some ideas from. Anyway, lovely talking to you. Have a lovely day ahead.